Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
It's good to see you again. It's been a little bit, hasn't it?
Yes.
2 weeks? 3 weeks?
2.
2 weeks? Yeah, so we're sorry.
We've been busy.
Busy. Stuff to do. Complicated stuff, as the president said one time. Complicated stuff.
Jury duty. I had jury duty.
I didn't have jury duty. I haven't had jury duty in a while. And not that I'm
I
asking.
get called quite often.
Not that I'm asking for jury duty, thank you. So don't put my name in the hat necessarily, but I didn't have jury duty. So, in any case, we're back, and I trust that you've been well. It's been great that sometimes we both hear from people who watch on YouTube. That's encouraging. Thank you so much for watching and asking questions and wondering
and requesting us to come back.
Yeah, and wondering if we're still
forth.
doing this. So we appreciate that. That's encouraging. You know, we don't have 1,000 subscribers, but the ones we have, we value. So thank you again.
Thank you.
We appreciate
for
that.
your support. And I feel like in the beginning of 2020, we're gonna go at this harder, more in depth, and have more videos.
More videos?
Yes.
Okay. What do you say? Sure. Sure. We're gonna do more videos. And the light's changing because we're out. Obviously, we're outside. We're at. I'll tell you what. This is not
on the spot.
This is not
Park.
a secret location. This is a cool location. We're at Rowlett Park here in Tampa, which is in central Tampa, just north of Hillsborough Avenue, just south of Bush
USF.
Boulevard and USF. In that area,
Busch Gardens.
It's an older park in the neighborhood, but it's really a nice park. You were saying earlier, the city does a really good job of keeping it up.
Yes, they
and
do.
it's right on the river.
I'm very impressed with how well the city
Lots-
does with the parks.
Lots of pavilions for picnicking and the like, and a lot of trails for walking or riding bike. It's
a lot
cool.
of people out today because it's
people out.
a holiday, the Veterans Holiday.
And thank you for all those who served. Thank you so much
for your service.
and those families that serve too, because I understand that it isn't just the individual who's in, it's the family that is serving too. So we appreciate the person that was actually in the military and their families.
And the dedication that you
Thank you ever so much. We appreciate that. It allows us to do stuff like this. It allows us to feel free enough to do this kind of stuff. People don't put that connection together, but not everybody gets to do this. Not everybody gets to live here. All right, we're going to get on.
Not everybody has the freedom.
Nope, they don't.
That we have in this country, and a lot of us take it for granted. But we have a lot of freedoms and able to speak your word and do what you want to do because of the people who serve.
Like grandma said, sometimes we are so free until we are foolish.
Yes. so free till you're foolish.
So please understand. Please, if you have a chance to attend an event today, or just if you see somebody in the mall, if you see somebody in a grocery store, thank them for their service. And don't just do it today.
Do it always.
Do it all the time.
And I try to do that.
It becomes and once you start doing it, it becomes a habit. It becomes easier and easier to do. So thank them for their service. Today we're going to talk about. I remembered we were going to talk about
weary.
Oh, being wearied.
And it's your week.
Oh, it.
So.
Oh, it
we
is.
were supposed to discuss.
Yeah.
How you
I just forgot.
how
Just
to avoid becoming weary in a relationship. And after 30 years of marriage, 30 plus.
30 plus.
There's no doubt that you can become weary if you don't stay focused on what the goal is and why you came into the relationship.
Yeah, our pastor is doing a series the past couple of services on being weary in your faith, and Debbie thought it was a good idea to transfer that same sort of weariness to relationships in the marriage, because what weariness is you all right?
No.
Bugs?
Ants.
No, we have ants because we're outside. Yay, outside.
And they love me.
Ants because you're so sweet. And I saw, and there's a little green spider that just fell down off the selfie stick, and it's climbing back up. Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the selfie stick. It's an itsy bitty green spider. It's no danger to anything or anybody really. Maybe one of the ants will kill it. Yeah, the ants will gang it up and do the thug thing and beat it. So we won't do that. We'll just let it crawl around. In any case, being weary of something isn't just being tired of it. It's just it's developing a feeling that you just aren't accepting what it's offering anymore. Like when you become weary of an individual, when you just get tired of hearing them, and you get tired of hearing them breathe. Why do you got to breathe? That's my favorite one. Did you see?
Wanda Sykes has a segment on when she was married and how she once she was in the marriage, she was like, he did things that I just didn't notice when we were dating, like breathing.
Breathing all the time. You got to breathe all the time. I thought that was funny. Yeah, so you get, those eating.
The way the person eats.
They're chewing.
After 20 years of watching them do a certain thing with a fork on the side of their teeth every time they eat.
Why you got to do that?
Why you have to do that?
Well, yeah. So you get those things, and you just become tired of them, and you're not willing to accept
the
them
mundane,
anymore.
Day-to-day things that go on in a relationship. Period.
So Debbie asked me what I thought, and I have the same sort of view on weariness in relationships as we have in weariness in your faith. Is that when and if you get there, the idea is what you need to do is we need to, like Debbie was saying before, we need to refocus. You always need to make an adjustment, refocus, and change your mindset and your memory on how you got there in the first place. What drew you to them in the first place?
Because I asked him last night, have you ever become weary in our relationship? And what did he say? No,
actually I have not. I think there's been enough changes, just for me, naturally, there's been enough changes that it changed often enough not to get tired of anything. Debbie was developing in her personality professionally and personally, so there wasn't any, so outside of the mundaneness of life, and there's a mundaneness of life, there's a rhythm to it. Yes, you go to work and you come home, you take care of kids, and you go to music, and there is that rhythm of life that happens, and people can, if they don't know or if they don't expect that sort of thing in relationship or in life, then yes, then they get frustrated and they think that it was going to be something else. It's the concept of having an expectation not met. But generally speaking, no. What are you doing?
Nothing. Oh. I'm just moving things.
Oh, I was distracted. Sorry, squirrel. And there was a squirrel everywhere here. I'm just distracted. But you know what? So I'm the kind of person where I could see those changes, and the mundaneness of life doesn't really bother me. For me, based on how I grew up, having that sort of rhythm that isn't insane was comforting. So it was fine with me. I'm an only child. Don't get bored. Learning to entertain myself.
And I asked him to share today on how he stays focused, how he can, because unfortunately, I'm gonna be honest, I did have times in our relationship where I was weary and wondering what's the purpose, but I'm a different type of person than he is. And I tend to get that way. I get that way in my career. I get that way in my physical, my body. I get weary in trying to stay healthy and trying to do. I'm just a different type of person, and I think with Pastor doing this relationship, this weary series, and he said he could feel that some people in church were that way. And I didn't want to do my head like this, but he was focusing kind of on me. He was feeling me. And because I'm that type of person, I have to stay motivated. I have to be energized every now and then, because I can get weary in my day-to-day life and all the mundane and stuff like that. I can. But today we're focusing on Willie, and I
Really?
want him.
Really? Oh, okay.
And today I want him to tell how.
But you're right.
Because he's good at that.
I'm a different kind of cat.
He's a different kind. He's a different kind of person than I am.
And I think that I think what I do mostly is it basically comes from my music training. That I can, and excuse the light, it's the sun, it's moving in the sky, and there's nothing I can do about it. I am someone I can look at the minute part of something, and I look for the improvement. I've been teaching saxophone and flute and clarinet for 30 plus years, and a lot of times it seems like the student comes in and you're on exercise 14 for 6 weeks in a row, and you're on exercise 14 for 6 weeks in a row, and you're working on that same 3 measures for 6 weeks in a row. But I'm really good at looking at whatever that small improvement is as things, as things change, and you can find that improvement. And that's the thing that keeps me going, because I know that, and I understand, because I've seen it a lot. If I keep ants, really, I haven't gotten bit one time. That if I keep pushing and if I keep going, then I can break. Then every single time I'll break through to whatever is next. So I don't. Again, and maybe it's because I'm only child. I don't get bored. And the idea is that
I think we're just different.
I'm not
made from different.
Well, I'm just saying that's how I do it. So that's how I do it. I just continue to look for. I look for the improvement. I'll look inside whatever whatever I'm dealing with, and to see where the improvement is, where the next thing is, because it's always there. It's always there. I don't have to jump out of where I am to another point. If I know, because I've seen it, if I continue just to push and to go and to be steady, and
change will happen.
And the change, because in my life it always has. It always has.
And it does with me too, but I'm just very, I guess.
You're not as patient. You're not. No, you're not ADD. Don't say that. You're just not as patient as I am.
Yeah. I'm not.
And it's been spoken over me by other people that I'm patient, and I try to walk through that. Patience is tough. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm not saying that you're less if you're not patient. I'm saying that being patient is something that truly helps. It truly comes in handy, because I've learned, again, in teaching, is that I'm not really patient with students. I just understand that certain things take time. Certain things just take time. And not everything works inside the confines of where I'm thrilled with.
And that is what a teacher should be. That's why the teachers and trainers, you have to have patience, because I'm the type, when I'm training somebody and I show them one time and then I let them do it, I think, okay, you got it, huh?
Nope, not at all. Don't have any idea what I'm doing. Don't have any idea what you said. I don't have any idea. And if I do it again, don't you go. You do it, and I'll watch you again. No. And it doesn't.
I don't have that
patience. And it doesn't work like that. The idea is that certain things take time to get.
It does.
Do. And I think that I've been able in my life to translate that to everything, really. That certain things take time. And
it's really an insult to, I know, with musicians and musical people and stuff, for somebody to come in and think that they can play as well as he can, and they've only been doing it for a year.
They get fresh. You know what? I tell my adult students, be really careful, because you're not going to play like me in 6 months. Mm-hmm. I can't even begin to have any method or trick to have you sound like me. Because I've been playing since I was 12. I've been playing 42 years. Guess what? You're not going to sound like me. You're not. And you're not going to be famous. Mm-hmm. Not if you're 40 years old at this point. You're not going to be famous. You're going to learn to play the saxophone and enjoy playing the saxophone for yourself and your family, possibly. But that's it, because this process takes time. It takes work.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It takes work, and you'll reach plateaus. And I think that that's really the key. You'll reach plateaus where you have this wheeze up and then it stops. And it seems nothing seems to improve. No matter what you do, nothing seems to change. Everything is the same. Everything's the same.
And at that point,
and that's when people drop out.
People give up.
That's when people drop out.
And that's where you see divorce.
Most of my students quit at the first plateau.
And you see divorce comes at that time, and it's usually around about 10 years or so. 15.
They call it the 7-year itch. And the idea is that and it seems like it was this wee right up, and then nothing happens.
We're doing it.
And then nothing, and then the same thing, and the same thing, and the same thing, and that's when people quit. So the idea is that you got to push through every plateau, because plateaus are a fact of life in everything.
They happen in your marriage,
in your relationships, in your job. Remember how much fun your job was in the beginning? Woohoo! And then suddenly it was the boredom of every day. Every day you did the very same thing every day. Yes, and then you wondered, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing this because
what's the purpose?
Because the most important things to you don't happen at work. That's how I'm able to do the same job, because that's not where the most important things happen to me. That the job is just a means to some other end.
The job is just to make this better.
That's it. That's all the job is.
It helps with the finances and
that's it.
The activities and the things that you do with the person that matters most.
That's what the job is.
And that's your family, your spouse.
So I don't really think
all of that, because even if you're not married, your job should not be your life.
It shouldn't define you.
No.
When someone says, what do you do, or who are you, you shouldn't say, I'm a plumber. You shouldn't say, I'm a bank teller, when they ask, who are you? Because that's not who you are. That's not what you are. That's just what you do. That's just what you do, and that's just what you do now. You could do something else in a year or 5 years or 10 years. It doesn't define who you are, and I think that's part of that whole thing. So the idea is, I know that things take time. Things just take time, and certain things take more time than others. And sometimes you have to really push through, because that plateau is a hard place to be sometimes. I understand, and the plateaus and they never stop.
No.
You go up, over, up, over, up, and they never stop. I tell my students all the time, like, I'm on a personal musical plateau right now, and I've been on this plateau for about a year and a half. So that kind of stuff never stops. I'm on that plateau right this very second. I mean, I can look back and look at a time in my musical life where I thought that I was the most creative and having the most fun, especially when I was doing this thing called mod. And maybe you can find it, but we're out. You finally put those those tunes on Spotify. Those mod tunes are on Spotify, MOD, and that was a super creative time for me. I was in actually 2 bands at the same time. It was super creative. But creatively, I've plateaued, especially in the past 4 or 5 years. But it's okay. But if I keep pushing, I'm going to push through and break through in another area of creativity. So this is part, and this is part of that. So the idea is that I'm a patient person, and understand that things just take time. And yes, you have to keep working. You can't sit idly by. You have to keep working, but keep doing the things that got you to that plateau in the first place. Keep doing those things, and then you'll move, and then you move on. Give yourself a break.
Yes.
When you don't hit on all cylinders, you have to give yourself a break. And when you get to be man of a certain age, there are things that you just have to give yourself a break about. You can't beat yourself up about. There are certain things that you used to be able to do that you can't do. There may be medical reasons or physical reasons that doesn't happen anymore, like it used to when you were 30 or when you were 20. And I often don't look back at myself as a 30-year-old. I don't even remember being 30.
That was when your son was born.
I know. I remember that one afternoon. I remember that we talked about it yesterday afternoon in the car. Yeah. I remember that. I remember that one afternoon. But most of the time, I do not remember 30. I don't pine away for when I was 28 or 20. I just don't. And I think that hurts you when you try when you're trying to move forward. That hurts you when you're thinking back. You always have to think forward. I tell Pastor all the time. I bring my back is always up against the wall because I bring it with me. So when I turn, I don't have anything to go back to. I have nothing to go back to. I don't have a plan B. All I've got is forward. And I think that mindset helps me in relationship because I've not given myself any other options other than to go forward and make this better. I don't have
an
an
option B.
Not with you, I don't. You're my only option. You are my only option. I don't have any option. I don't have any option B. I don't have any plan Bs. I don't have any of that stuff. And I think that mindset is the mindset for me. Now if you're able to do that, or if you think I'm crazy because of that, well, fine. You can think whatever you want. But you asked me, so that's what I'm telling you. That's how I think about stuff. So, and again, sorry for the light, but the sun and the clouds keep moving in the sky, and there's nothing I can do about it.
It's beautiful out here, though.
It's nice.
Beautiful.
It's nice.
Fall day.
So maybe I can fix some of this in post-production, but I doubt it. But we'll see. Any case, well, that's why. Oh, yeah, we got 20 minutes. Okay, so that's why. That's how. And these things may be points that you want to consider.
There's no magical.
It's going to be different. It's going to be different for everybody. But hopefully, what I've shared will give you some insight, maybe into how you think about things or how you feel about things, and maybe changes that you can make
in your relationship
to ward off weariness when it comes. I've been blessed. I haven't dealt with any of that, but it's only been 30 plus years. Maybe next.
32 years.
Has it been 32 years?
December.
Are you sure? Can we do the math? Sure.
You're
Hang
the
on.
math teacher.
No, not anymore. I don't see. I'm not. See, that's why I'm saying I am not the math teacher. I'm the saxophone teacher. I teach saxophone. Can you go ahead and do the arithmetic? It's 2019 minus 1987. Do 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 do.
It's 32.
32 years. So there you go. And I've been teaching saxophone for 34 years. So again,
He was doing that before.
It's the single thing I've been doing the longest, really. So again, I've taken that into everything I do, and I think that works. So I think that, and for me that works now. And when you have to understand that your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with will approach it differently, for sure, because they approach everything differently because they're not you.
And I think that's pretty much why God put us together, because during the times when I am like wavering and wondering why, what is this, and screaming and complaining and going on, this is him. But I'm not going to say he's perfect at that all the time.
No, because I'm not perfect.
Because there are times,
I happen to be a human.
There are times when I'm the stable one, and he's going, what, this and other, and I have to be that calm. And it's usually in financial things, because that's my thing. In financial things, he'll be like, well, how are we going to do this, and how are we going to do that, and I'll fiddle together some numbers and we're going to pay this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, and blah blah blah, and then
okay,
there we go.
Okay.
God supplies,
and always has. So and again, it takes a while to learn that enough so you can depend on it.
And to know your niche in the marriage, to know what you are responsible. That's another topic that I want to go over, is what is your niche in the relationship?
What do you do? What's your part?
What's your part in the relationship? But next week, I'm going to go over times
Sorry, the bug is scaring me. sounded real big, like it was like this big, but it was like this big.
It was a little bug.
Made a big noise though.
Next week will be my time to share on when I do get weary in our relationship, when I do, stumble and you know, how do I handle another ant?
Ant.
How I
Dead ant.
handle
Dead ant. Dead
and
ant.
how
Dead
I
ant.
came
Dead ant.
through it. So tune in next week for part 2
Dos.
on Debbie
Dos.
and my explanation as to why I get weary and what we do when I.
All right, listen. Thank you again for supporting us. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. I'd like to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. Sort of give that as a Christmas present to us.
Yes, 100.
Tell your friends. You do. And for those of you who are already subscribed, thank you again.
And thank you for tuning in.
Our best advertising is you. Our best way of getting the word out is you. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to artificially increase the numbers by doing what you can do on the internet. Artificially increase numbers. Because you see people go up and then down, up and then down, and I don't want that. I want people who are interested in what we're saying and dedicated to what we're doing.
Willing to stay.
And willing to stay over the long haul. So again, we appreciate it. So until we see you again, which ought to be in 167.5 hours. Just this time next week. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. Remember this: we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. We'll see you when we see you.